Thank you for listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. The time is 45 minutes after the hour. Welcome back to Paranormal Experience with my guest, Dr. Rita Louise. And we have been having the most diverse discussions already.
Yeah, I'm sorry about hijacking that other conversation, but
Oh, that's
I don't know,
okay.
the spirit was moving me.
That's all right. I sandbagged you with ancient technology, so it's all good. But, you were absolutely right. And you said that you have two exceptions.
Yeah, there's the concept of us taking care of ourselves, us doing things to make ourselves happy, us learning how to love ourselves and honor ourselves and, protect ourselves in relationship to other people, and the only time that changes where I think it's appropriate to give of ourselves, even if we're not really getting something back per se, is if you have young children. I tend to say 18 and under, although, I really would rather draw the line at 16. And then if you have an elderly parent that really needs your help and support because they can't take care of themselves, they're to that place where, they need to have you around in order for them to survive. So, and then that's just a place of caring and compassion, and love. And, and there's sacrifice involved, but, it's different, and it's very hard. Taking care of parents, elderly parents is hard. I mean, one, because, a lot of times they're a pain in the butt. And
that's true.
I had a client, it's like, well, my mom, take care of my mom and she does this stuff. When is she going to change? And I'm like, how old's your mom? She goes, 80. And I'm like,
not changing.
Hon,
not
you
today,
can't teach an
tomorrow.
old dog a new trick,
Yeah.
So you're just going to have to learn to tolerate it. There's this gentleman, his name is John Wilshons, and he's written a number of books. He studied under Ram Dass. Beautiful, beautiful soul. And so one of the things that he talks about is that when somebody does something that upsets you, it's not as much about what they've done, but that they've triggered something inside of you, an old wound, an upset, something in you that caused you to react. And so he tells this story in, I think the book is Why Our Prayers Aren't Answered. Mm-hmm. And it was either that or when he was on my radio show, and I don't really remember. And so he was taking care of his elderly father, and his father drove him crazy till he figured out that every time his dad did something that pissed him off, he used it as an opportunity to reflect back on himself. What was it triggering inside him that wanted to be cleared? So easier to say than do, but I think it's something that people should think about and consider as a possibility, because I believe his words are true. It's just kind of digging through your own stuff. But again, right now, the veil to our emotional place is kind of wide open. And it seems like a good opportunity to use this time to kind of dig in to what's really going on deep inside of us.
Well, I agree, because I said all along, once the first 6 weeks was up, I didn't realize I was going to be immobilized so long. But when I found out that I had another 6 weeks coming, I was just like, wow, something must really need my attention.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a lot of the healing and the cleaning
Mm-hmm.
out of the cupboard.
Mm-hmm.
And that seemed to, the other stuff wasn't really going on yet, but it actually seemed like that made it better, easier to cope, because I had already started the process.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes sense. And
it does make sense.
I'm an energy worker. right? I am supposed to be able to keep this stuff flowing and do wonderful things and for myself and sometimes for others. And it's almost like everything was just all clogged up.
Mm-hmm.
And there had been a lot of stress in the last 6 months before I got hurt. So I think that was part of it too. Just
Well,
learning how
it's
to let go.
yeah, but sometimes when we are under a lot of stress or there's stuff going on, I mean, from a very energetic perspective, it's like we get knocked out of our body or our grounding,
Mm-hmm.
which allows us to dissipate energy back into the earth, becomes disrupted, and which causes us to go into fear and survival. Activates our adrenal glands, so now we have anxiety, I mean, it sets off this whole series of things inside of us, and so, and when we're in that place, sometimes we get so deep into it that one, we don't realize we're in that place, and it's just harder to get back out, and it's in those times that it's really good to reach out to someone or, come up with, I don't want to say coping skills, but kind of coping skills. Like, I know for me, one of the things that I've learned for me is that, to sit and meditate, it doesn't do it. I just sit there,
Yes, I do
and
know.
so I have learned for me, I need to get up and like go clean the bathtub and dust this thing and clean the sink and the stove, or go outside and carry heavy bags of mulch. That's the thing that I've been working on this week, mulching. And it's like, those bags are freaking heavy.
They are freaking heavy.
And I'm kind of scrawny, but doing things because for me, I need to kind of burn it off, probably because I'm a double fire sign, I need to burn it off, go out and dancing. Like if I jog, that would probably be a good thing, but I don't run. So,
I don't run unless something's chasing me.
Even then it's kind of borderline, but
Yeah, I run kind of like baby.
but when I'm done, I always feel better, and I'm always back in my body, and I get back in the flow, and what's going on in my brain, that incessant mind thing that's going on, is done, because I've burned it off, or at least that's kind of got me back, so that works for me. Some people meditating, that works for, and finding what that thing is that can kind of get you out of your funk, putting music on and dancing or journaling.
Yes.
I mean, there's so many tools that are out there, but I think we each need to find the one that works for us, and not go, oh, well, I tried to meditate. It's like, well, maybe that's just not your thing.
Or maybe at this point in time, that's not what you need to help you cope.
Right. Right.
So, because it didn't help me a bit. And it usually does.
Mm-hmm.
So, how long have you said that you were working on the psychic thing when you were younger. How long have you been self-aware of the energy work and the psychic work that you do?
I've been doing this professionally for almost 30 years. So, because I didn't even think I was psychic. I was interested in it. I played with tarot cards, and I figured, well, if I memorized the tarot cards, I'd surely be psychic. Or if I could do an astrology chart, I'd surely be psychic, which I found out, no, that doesn't work.
No.
And I went to the Berkeley Psychic Institute and studied with them. And after being in their program for 3 weeks, I discovered that I had been very psychic my whole life. But no one, I just thought everybody was that way,
Right.
And so I had a lot of really all right, interesting. I won't necessarily say cool. Interesting coincidences that were a complete and utter psychic thing, but I didn't recognize that that's what it was. Pick up gifts at Christmas. I mean, I remember this one Christmas, and I was sharing a house with this one guy, and I was dating this friend of his, and so we all exchanged gifts, and I picked up one box. I'm like, it's either a pewter figure or a crystal. Okay, so that's what was in my head. Now, I'm not even trying to think about it. It just was like, it's either a pewter figure or a crystal. So one box had a pewter figure and the other box had a crystal.
That is interesting.
But I was dating this guy, and he was working on something, in the garage, and he was like, all right, I'm going to bring this stuff in the house, and, don't come in, and roar. So I was sitting on the side porch of my house, and I had to walk past this glass doors that was going into the room he was in, but I kind of put my hand up so I couldn't see because I wanted to be surprised. And I was like, oh, he got me a gramophone. I'm like, damn it. I got a gramophone.
Now, see, that...
It kind of sucks sometimes.
That's funny. That really is.
Not when you really... I mean, I really did want to be surprised.
That's weird that you couldn't block that.
Well, there's that part of you that kind of wants to know what it is.
Right.
And it just jumped in my head. It was like, rats. And at this point in time in my life, it's kind of like, I know that I know, if I was, when it was the crystal and the pewter figure, I mean, that was before I was psychic. So I was just surprised. But I was like, wow, that was, a weird coincidence kind of thing. When it happened a couple of Christmases ago, I was kind of cursing myself because I didn't want to know. I wanted to be surprised, but I knew that I knew that I knew. And it was like, rats.
That would be a rats moment.
Yeah, especially because it's really cool and everything. So,
well, yeah. But I was just curious because not everybody knows from a young point. And I've had people tell me that they knew that they were mediums when they saw their grandpa when they were 2 years old. Mm-hmm. And there's a difference between a psychic and a medium. A lot of people use them interchangeably, but they're not the same thing. Mm-mm. And I always find that interesting too. It's like it's okay.
I mean, I go and do a lot of shows and whatever, and I'll have people sit down. It's and they want me to talk to grandma. It's I don't do that. I mean, sometimes they'll come through, and I will do that with no guarantee that anybody's going to come through. And so I'm I will talk to you about anything but dead people, because, and I just don't really want them coming around because I think they would just want to hang around me all the time and come to my house. Person. Yeah. Yeah, but then they'd want to come to my house and that's okay. That's okay. I'll go to your house with your spooky ghost, but they can stay at your house and
exactly
not come to mine. Thank you.
I've had something come home with me and it was just no, I told you can't do that. And I actually use the term, you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. Mm-hmm. This is my sanctuary. And they left. Mm-hmm. I just put it. And they also knew that I had said they couldn't come when I left where they were. And they had violated that agreement. So it was not scary, but it was frustrating.
I mean, I had somebody show up in my living room. My dog was barking at him. Oh. And, because my dog is barking. And I'm like, what are you doing? Because she was a poodle, so a little poodle. And she was on top of the sofa. And so I picked her up.